Good morning, wrestling fans. Welcome to PWR today, Wednesday morning, August 18th, 2021. The man they call Meathead and the M.O.T.S. M.O.T.S. Matthew on the street. Matthew Thomas. Good morning,
Hey,
Matt.
good morning to you, Meathead. And I missed you and Linda Kay on your Raw recap yesterday, but I want to give Matthew Thomas's abbreviated Raw recap on the Go Home Raw before SummerSlam. You ready for it? Okay,
Ready.
Here we go. Stay away from my boy. That's been Matthew Thomas's Raw recap for the week of August the 17th, 16th, whatever, 18th, whatever today is.
That was in
Hope you
depth.
enjoyed it. Yeah. Yep. That's all you need to know.
Well, I mean, it's because we covered the reformation of RK Bro.
Oh, yeah. You covered the reformation, and you covered and I think correctly predicted the team Nelson Mandela is going to get some title win and some title loss points this week on SummerSlam.
You've got the whole match.
Yeah.
Now, folks, for the PWR draft, if you don't realize this, even though he has 4 competitors in the match, he's only getting points for each team one time.
Yeah. No, that's the way it works. I need to find out who's reffing that match, so maybe I can get points for the ref as well.
Get out of here with that nonsense. I mean, that is just the silliest thing I've ever heard. Who's got Adam Cole for this week? I'm just curious. You know, as I look up and down the roster, I don't think anybody has Adam Cole.
Yeah.
Or Kyle O'Reilly. Just so we're clear, that's not 3 matches, and you don't get match points 3 times.
Oh, okay. I didn't know that.
Those are falls, not matches.
Oh, interesting. But it's still a specialty match, correct?
That would be a specialty, yes.
Interesting.
Well, let's talk about the sponsor. Who sponsors the Shenanigans, otherwise known as PWR today?
Oh, that's Collar and Elbow brand. And I don't know if you've been on the internet and seen all the publicity that Collar and Elbow brand has been getting recently, but our man Gary Busey has been decked out in some Collar and Elbow brand recently.
Yeah, Gary was wearing a little collar and elbow while I was singing a song. I loved it.
Oh, it was fantastic. A lot of new looks over there at the Collar and Elbow brand website. Of course, the Bobby Eaton shirt with all proceeds going to the Eaton family. There's also
Collar and Elbow just went to Europe, I think. I think they're available now for Europe.
Oh, fantastic. There's also a very good-looking Hawaiian shirt over there, too, that I might have to add to my collection in the near future. But when I do add it to my collection, I don't like paying full price. So what I'm going to do to avoid that scenario is enter promo code Linda K, LINDAKAY, and I'm going to save me a big chunk of money and save 10% off of my order.
Nice. You got anything in mind? I'm wearing my brother shirt. BRTHR.
You know, I kind of like the one that I think it was like the gray with the black collar and elbow that Gary was wearing. I might have to pick up one of those.
Yeah, that's a standard, I think, first run collar and elbow. There's a new one out there that's got like the elbow dripping, you know, like
Yeah, you know, and there's
nice.
quite a good variety of like the, new generation WWF logo. And I think the Dream Team one is long gone. I wanted to get the Dream Team one, but I don't think I've seen that one recently.
Failed us and not didn't get it, how many years ago, but Who'd You Ever Beat was one I should have got a long time ago.
Yeah, and
with a little cup of coffee. Yeah.
And I think all but like one size is gone too, but I'm waiting for a restock of the Collar and Elbow brand Waffle House shirt.
Well, I'm still waiting for the Collar and Elbow White Castle shirt. When is that coming out?
You know what? I think it's going to come out about the same time that the Forbidden Door Collar and Elbow shirt featuring the Doors logo that I really want is coming out.
There you go. All right, we're going to have to talk to Uncle Al about that and Uncle Gary and see if Gary's got something.
That's right.
All right, let's talk a little bit of news here. It's a piece of info that we've held on for a couple days, but now it's a little bit more relevant because we're going to be doing Dynamite tonight. Tanahashi captured the IWGP US title off of Lance Archer. Lance Archer was the US title champion in the IWGP world, but Tanahashi defeated him in Tokyo. So when we see Dynamite tonight, Lance Archer no longer a champion. I don't know if that means that Tanahashi is coming over to AEW to maybe give him the rematch, but Tanahashi, new U.S. champion.
Yeah, you know what? And a pretty quick title run, it doesn't hurt all the time because, you're conditioned to expect somebody to hold onto a belt for, a certain period of time. But every now and then you get those quick reigns like we have here. So it's nice to see to keep you engaged in the product.
Well, I mean, we like quick reigns, we like long reigns, we even like Roman Reigns on occasion. So,
like all of that, any type of precipitation, right?
all right. One other thing too that I thought we were supposed to get last night was NXT's new look and the big changes that are coming allegedly to NXT. Well, last night, once we get into it, we didn't see any changes. Maybe we saw the change at the end. Again, we'll get to NXT. First off, I want to ask you a question. Heels, have you seen it?
I did. I watched that not too many hours ago, actually, for the first time.
Stephen Amell's heels on Stars. So, would you say that you're interested, curious to see how the entire season goes after episode 1?
Yeah, no, I'm interested. They did a good job, really, of setting up your main characters. I think there are a couple types of people that are going to be watching this. You're going to have the viewers that are completely kind of green to the inner workings of the wrestling business. So there is a certain amount of exposition that they have to use, especially in the pilot episode. Aren't familiar with kayfabe, aren't familiar with the script that we hear referred to a lot during the first episode. So you're going to have a lot of the stuff that doesn't necessarily come across as how people would actually talk to each other in a locker room or, within the context of a promotion. So you got to understand going into that. I mean, this is trying to be made for a broad audience. So it's not you.
I don't think their target audience is honestly wrestling fans.
Yeah, no, I think you're right. I mean, I think it's somebody who's going to watch a premium cable drama. Exactly. Yeah. Exactly. That being said, somebody that has a bit more familiarity with, the industry, I still enjoyed it. And I enjoy looking forward to, basically how
this isn't Glow. That's for sure. It's not Glow.
Right. How these characters and, the dynamic plays out throughout the course of the season. I referenced it in passing a second ago. One of my things with it, and we talked about a little bit off air, within the confines of the industry, I've never heard promoters or, anybody refer to it as the script, like they went ahead and talked about like 4 or 5 times, just basically talking about the flow of a show, match order, that type of stuff. They seem to go out of the way to make sure that the viewing audience knows that, it's predetermined, and use the term script 4 or 5 times, which was a little bit heavy-handed.
That was the emphasis. A good show has 2 to 3 threads going through it. That was the main emphasis. Was the lead character having to write out the match. We saw it multiple times. We understand what a booker man is. Even if we weren't, analysts, that maybe we are broadcast journalists. We understand what a booker man is. We understand that somebody has to come up with it. Now, in the real wrestling world, maybe that's a little bit of a stretch. Most of the time, a spot here, spot here, spot here is brought to you by a writer. And then, the boys work out the match or the girls work out the match.
Yeah. And one other thing, too, I want to kind of go back to is at least in episode 1, this is set up like an indie wrestling promotion meets Mayberry. It's a promotion that is pretty much kind of confined to this little small town,
Southern Georgia.
Georgia. And it seemed reminiscent of some scenes in like Friday Night Lights occasionally, where Friday nights you got people closing up shop, going to the football game. Here you've got everybody in Main Street, small town America, going to the wrestling match. And not saying that it doesn't happen anywhere, but it seemed a little bit unusual, I'll say.
Gotcha. Well, Tom Jones used to tell us it's not unusual. Here's what I found unusual. The Florida competition, which, they have a heel company they're going to be working against, right? For any wrestling fan that did watch this will realize that was TNA footage. That was Samoa Joe. That was Abyss. I mean, that's old footage from a Monster Ball match, right? I don't have a huge problem with it. I don't care that much. What I do enjoy, though, was the fact that we got Main Star, brother of Main Star, so those two are going to be the top storyline. Howard Stern's wife from Private Parts, Mary McCormick, She helps run the show. She's the one that had the headphones on all the time.
Yeah.
What's her relation? We don't know yet. The wife of Main Star is already seen that he bought 4 new fog machines and GoPros, so he's dipping into the personal funds. You never want to cross the streams on accounts. You want to keep those accounts separate. So he's pulling from personal money to keep business company going. That's a no-no. That's a business no-no 101. Here's what else we have. Valet, who believes she can wrestle and is trying to hitch her wagon to the face, the good-looking boy, David Spade's son from Grown Ups 2. He's going to dump her the second he makes it up to the big leagues. They reference Vince McMahon. They reference Sting, Flair. They reference, all the big shows, right? She's going to find a way to get up there. I think she's going to end up double-crossing dude, and something's going to happen there. So I enjoy it. The final match, the finish to the match was definitely not a wrestling decision. If we saw that in a WWE or a AEW, we would flip the F out.
Yeah. No, without that, that's really kind of what drew me in, because that was not the way that I saw it going. And, at that point, and I was kind of touch and go for the rest of it. It's like, all right,
honestly, that finish, what it reminded me of? We just mentioned Sting. Reminded me of Sting, Jeff Hardy, TNA.
Oh, yeah.
That just popped in my head about how the wrestling fans came to see a big show and they just got dumped on at the end with a dud of a match.
Well, and the thing of it is, though, I think really kind of where it took me was, you're going one way, quintessentially how it's setting the thing up is the heel brother in the promotion, just from what you're garnering in the first 40 or 50 minutes is the face in the family dynamic.
Yes.
But for him to book a scenario that he did in the final, I don't want to say it's a double turn, but it doesn't shed him in the same light, so it definitely, pulls me on to I want to see what happens in the next episode.
Right. And then the brother, when he ran down that woman at the convenience store, he's supposed to be the face. He's supposed to be the face of the town. But, if word gets out of how much of a tool bag he is, he's going to kill himself in that territory.
Oh, yeah. And I mean, what's interesting is, it's a little bit, kind of territorial for modern day. I mean, it seems to, I know we're in Georgia, but
Southern Georgia, Northern Florida.
But it seems to kind of, especially with the brothers and the father and everything, seems to kind of be a little bit of a homage to world class.
Or AWA.
Yeah.
Remember, we had the Ganyas, Vern and Greg.
Yep.
So that's at least, where I come from. I come from the Midwest where we had the AWA. So let's talk about NXT from last night. This is the go home for TakeOver 36 this Sunday on the Peacock Network, and it did not act like one. While the show was still entertaining in spots, this did not feel like a go home to a pay-per-view show. Your thoughts overall before we touch on a couple spots in the show?
Where I'm at after last night, where they did a good job of getting me there last week, the biggest thing that's changed in the last 2 weeks, as far as looking forward to TakeOver, is I'm really excited to see the NXT UK match. I think they've done a really good job setting that up, and it might very well be because you don't see the UK talent too often. So, I mean, it's a rare occasion that you actually get that.
Walter is going to be an amazing match.
But, Dragunov over the last several weeks, I've really liked what I've seen there, and Walter is always consistent. So they've really upped that for me. I think we're just going into a bit of an unusual setup with SummerSlam and TakeOver. I mean, this is the first time I ever remember the weekend ending with TakeOver.
It's almost not to the point where it's like on Raw, how the main event segment for the show is not in the main event slot.
Yeah.
Where they put the strongest stuff at the end of hour 1 or hour 2, and then the stuff at the end of hour 3 isn't really the main event.
Yeah. So, no, and that being said, too, it's not just the unusual placement of it on a pay-per-view weekend. It's also the limbo of what's going to happen with NXT. I mean, they're quintessentially going back to the drawing board. And
damn you, internets, because without the internet, we wouldn't have any idea.
Yeah. And, I mean, they've got the same spot on USA, but I mean, man, going back to a tape show, That is, I mean, I think it's a
That's
very
not going to help
symbolic.
it. I'm going to be
It's a
completely
very,
honest.
yeah, it's a very symbolic step at this point, and it's not good symbolism for NXT or the WWE.
Dragunov defeats Roderick Strong, who was supposed to have a one-on-one match with Kushida, who was not cleared to compete. No word on what that is. Is it COVID? Is it, bruised toenail? I don't know. Dragunov with a win on Roderick Strong. Dragunov looked like he got cut in the side of the head.
Yeah, and I went back and tried to see exactly where it happened, and it wasn't there 1 minute, and he was a Crimson Mask the next. So I'm not sure exactly
Let's just
what
hope
happened
that
there.
next week I don't see a part of his skull stuck to a ring post.
Hey, you gotta milk that for all it's worth.
Yeah. All right. They are going to be previewing Cole O'Reilly 3, which is a 2 out of 3 fall match, and it's going to be a great promo. We know it's going to be a great promo, but Hit Row comes out, and holy smokes, I forgot. I mean, I knew I saw it, I watched it, but I forgot that El Gato del Fantasma stole his grill and took Isaiah Swerve Scott's grill off of his teeth. That was disgusting.
Disgusting, and this is a very interesting, storyline they're doing with both stables. It's basically,
two heel groups.
Yeah, 2 heel groups, and it's, you went after this. This was a representation of my culture, so I'm going to go after a representation of your culture. I mean, it's not your typical WWE kind of tread lightly, whimsical storyline. I mean, there's some pretty serious undertones here, and I thought it was a very good backstage segment. Sometimes they work, sometimes they don't, but no, I thought it was a very good overall segment, and they've got me interested in this storyline.
The storyline I'm interested in. We're going to talk about the match, the first segment, and the last segment. Excuse me. Cameron Grimes in the back, while LA Knight works out, towels off his forehead, sees a dude banging around on a sledgehammer and a tire. It's Josh Briggs. And he says, you know what? I got money for you. Go ahead and beat up my boy, Cameron Grimes here. Well, Cameron Grimes gets the win. We got just a taste of Cameron Grimes with the music. LA Knight came out, cut his music off. Cameron Grimes gets a win. LA Knight goes off on DiBiase. And really, at the end of the day, the promo afterwards with Cameron Grimes and Ted DiBiase is where the money was for the pay-per-view. If anything, that may have been the main event go-home send-off for TakeOver.
Yeah, no, without a doubt. I mean, you've had how many weeks of Grimes not being Grimes?
And he came back and he was Grimes.
And we finally got it last night. So, no, I think that's hopefully the direction we'll go, even if it means Nelson Mandela losing points. I mean, we need to see Grimes.
And the team they call Meatheads getting championship gold.
Yeah, we need to see him going back to being to the moon, Cameron Grimes. And hopefully we do get that on Sunday.
Here's another thing that went over a couple segments. Indy Hartwell backstage talking to Gargano and Candice LeRae about her date with Dexter Lumis. But Gargano's grossed out. Johnny asking, hey, how did he enjoy the cake? She said he loved it, and even afterwards still had time for pie. Dude, your line, the throwaway line from Gargano as they're going to black, I looked at that menu and read it 2 to 3 times. I did not see any pie on there.
Yep. No, that was fantastic. That was fantastic. Who knew Gargano would do just the subtle comedy as well as he's done? That was a big surprise for me.
Even though he was a star, he wasn't the star of this segment.
No.
It's Dexter Lumis.
Oh, without a doubt. He doesn't have to say anything.
Nope.
Anything. I don't know if anybody's ever done more in the wrestling business with just not opening their...
Here's the match we need. Matthew, that phrase you just uttered, done anything without doing anything. Cross-promotional. Open the door. Give me Dexter Lumis one-on-one with Orange Cassidy.
You're exactly right. I did not know I wanted that until you just pointed it out.
Well, you started it up, and as I started talking, it clicked in your head too.
Would that not be outstanding? I mean, my goodness. But this dude has been able to, more or less. Now he may have had more verbal roles as Sam Shaw. Yeah, but my goodness, this dude has just been so consistent with his character. And Oh man, yeah, I'm glad that we're seeing him in ring more each week, because as good as it is to see him, creepily around a corner or something, to see him be able to keep this character up in the small movements that he does within the context of
The
an actual
monkey
match.
crawl that he does. I don't know
It's
how
great.
else to explain that. Like Apex, like a silverback gorilla, where he does his fists and he moves with his shoulders.
Well, and like one thing too, like you see him, I guess when Indy was going for the tag, he's over in the corner, but he's not extending his hand. He's like stroking the rope. I mean, this dude is just top notch, and soon to be a married man, it sounds like.
Yep, and let's talk about Robert Stone getting in the ring and working. He had that spot outside the ring where he missed.
Yeah,
I mean, dude, that is a professional right there, because you have to know
yeah,
that you're just going to the floor.
yeah. And he had a sweet ponytail too. I mean, I don't know ponytail, more of like a hybrid pony / rat tail he was rocking, but it worked. And I'll tell you this much: Dexter Lumis, if he goes to AEW, he would be champion in an instant, because he had the perfect counter for everything that you've seen the Bucks do. All those high spots, he just moved. And Stone just ate it. That's all you have to do. When you've got 6 people coming off of a turnbuckle and an apron at you, is just move a little bit this way. Perfect counter for most of your AEW high spots there by Dexter Lumis.
Absolutely fantastic. And again, you alluded to it. Let's just put it out there. Indy Hartwell, she stared at Dexter. She walked over to Beth Phoenix. I thought she was going to take over Beth Phoenix in a Alexa Bliss style. No, Beth was holding on to the ring. Beth gave her the ring. Indy proposes to Dexter. Dexter says yes and takes off his creepy glove in a creepy way. It was fantastic.
I mean, I can't. You got to put it on a major WWE pay-per-view, man. You've got to get that wedding to take place in front of an actual live audience.
Oh, yeah. The interview between Dakota Kai and Raquel Gonzalez was what it was. It didn't add more to the match for me. I'm going to want to see the match because, you've got the David and Goliath, except it's Davina and, Goliath. I don't know, whatever the female versions of David and Goliath are. But, yeah, it's big competitor, little competitor. Let's see how it works out.
What it did for me was, listening to Dakota Kai's promo, I believe she would come across as a believable champion. I believe she could deliver a believable heel champion promo. Okay. And I think that's the direction they're going to go Sunday.
NXT Breakout Tournament semifinals, Carmelo Hayes and Duke Hudson. My guy, Carmelo Hayes, won the match. Unfortunately, he's going to lose next week to that massive piece of humanity. It's holy smokes. He is going to he's going to get blown away by Odyssey Jones.
Yeah, I don't know what to make of this. Duke Hudson, I thought, was the clear winner in this tournament. Ever since they introduced the field, the first night I laid eyes on him, I said, Duke Hudson, that is my guy right there. So you can see how surprised I was when he doesn't win. You know what? They're probably just going to send him up to the main roster. I think that's probably why he didn't go over last night.
I tell you what, Hayes says that just like in the video games, you got to go to face the final boss in the end, but plot twist for you, I'm the final boss. Nice line. Nice line. It was written for you, but it was a good line. JC Jane, who's got the recent vignette with Gigi Dolan. I assume they're going to be a nice heavy metal type tag team coming up. Finally, we've got the tag team titles. Imperium, MSK. This is the final match of the night. MSK with the win. Tom Phillips. Is it Tom Phillips or who's our... no, Vic Joseph. Sorry. I get Tom Phillips and Vic Joseph crossed up. It's Vic Joseph yelling again, put some more respect on MSK's name. I don't hate it.
Yeah, no, this was fun and good match overall, and I think it gets a little bit further set up for our NXT UK title match storyline that we got coming up on Sunday.
The final segment was Joe and Cross. It wasn't rolling around on the ground talking about your football team, but they beat up the side rail, so maybe that's the changes that are coming. They'll have to put some plexiglass up again. I am not as interested in this match as I was when it was first announced. I wanted this match. I thought this was the right match. Karrion Kross going to Raw has ruined it for me.
No, because that's hurt his stock, and because honestly, it's hard not to associate Karrion Kross with a Raw mid-carder now. And they've tried to kind of correct a little bit of that booking by having him go over Hardy, but okay, they have, but he's not billed as this important factor on Raw. And so now much of your thought process that would go into trying to see how they would book this match, it's like, all right, so Joe beats him and Kross leaves NXT. What effect does that have on Raw or SmackDown at this point? Because you've really already kind of put him there where he's going to land when he goes up, to the main roster. I'll tell you, I know Joe and Kross intrigue me, but I would have been perfectly content if Kross's main roster splash actually happened with a title match at SummerSlam versus Lashley. If you just went straight champion versus champion, I think you'd have a lot more interest in what both of those guys were doing. You wouldn't have the Goldberg involvement. And
if they did title versus title, there's interest in Lashley being the NXT champion. There's interest in Kross being the Raw champion.
Could you imagine? And then if you want to get Joe back in the ring, man, have Lashley go down to NXT and work with Joe in NXT. Oh my goodness, the possibilities. Oh, what? I thought about this when I was watching the show last night, and I think this is even a better option than Kross. My goodness, I would not mind seeing a Lashley and Walter match.
Ooh.
Which I think is hard to predict. Is hard to do because Walter, I think, is a lot more of a protected champion than Kross. They have really built up that title reign, and I think that you've got two pretty well protected champions in Lashley and Walter as far as the reigns go. So I can understand not necessarily wanting to do that right now, but my goodness, that would intrigue me.
Yeah. I can't believe it that I'm saying this. That makes perfect sense. Now, here's what I think might happen. I still think that this draft should happen in some form. I honestly think LA Knight drops it. That dude's ready for the main roster already.
Yeah.
I don't think there's any need for him to be in NXT anymore. Put that dude on Raw or SmackDown, and I think he works well with anybody up there.
Yeah, 100%.
So give Cameron Grimes the $1 million championship. I think he can hang out in NXT for a little bit longer, still be entertaining, and get Kross up there as well. I don't think Indy and Dexter would go together up to the big show. I really don't think that would work, but I do think that Dexter alone could get something done.
Yeah, you know what? And I could see LA Knight being just what Baron Corbin needs at this juncture.
Yeah, dummy. Yeah. Well, it could be. I mean, Baron Corbin unofficially is the Money in the Bank briefcase holder right now.
You know what? And I don't want Bobby Lashley to lose the title at this juncture, but if for some reason they decide it's the time for a Goldberg title reign for about 10 seconds and Baron Corbin cashes in on Goldberg, I'd be okay with that.
Oh my God, I would lose my mind. That would be fantastic. Guess who just got a new fan? All right, speaking of new fans, we appreciate all of you guys for listening and downloading us and sharing and subscribing. Available on the Facebook, the Apple, the podcasts, like Spotify, like Stitcher, all these places where you can download it. The numbers just keep growing. Tell your friends, tell your mama. Somebody call my mama and tell her I'm the greatest. Listen to PWR today, Monday through Friday. For Matthew Thomas, I'm the man they call Meathead. We will talk to you tomorrow morning about all things AEW Dynamite. So long, everyone.